there are two issues there. One is that through the use of bioresonance machine, and what's coming out of that now is linking it to other lifestyle issues which affect your health. So following on from bioresonance, I'm now looking at nutrition and diet, exercise, sleep, and other aspects of our lives that have an effect. And again, in particular, it comes back to mind and thinking. Now, bringing together all those aspects is the way to maintain and build upon your health. And particularly for some of the clientele who you work with, who are business people, entrepreneurs, it's imperative to keep these things in balance. Because once those things get out of sync, your business starts to suffer.
Wow. So I guess that's where it, you touched upon the key next step there about, whatever we do, in terms of our lives, the health and the mind is quite important to help us accelerate in all the other parts of what we do and our life, especially in business as well. So I imagine this will resonate particularly to people in business, entrepreneurs who are looking for that balance in life, because ordinarily as people we are always rushing. I mean, part of the background, me and Tony, is that we did this expert speaker revolution course together, and now we are on this expert speaker academy, and there's been a number of talks looking at different people who are doing different things in their professions and in business. And we just had this talk by Kevin McDonough about how he talks about, having this high energy and being obsessed about, what he does, because he's just so passionate about, the speaking and the business. It almost pretty much occupies, his life. So um, in some quarters, those kind of imbalance can lead to, disease if you're not managing your life in a particular way. So looking at health and our lifestyle and all of that is quite key. And I take it, this machine, even from a lifestyle point of view, it's one that people, is it one that people can use, not necessarily because there's something wrong that is going on, but as part of in their lifestyle and keeping their health as part, in the same way that every now and then we go to the doctors for, an eye test or an eye check, or have our teeth looked at, or a full medical check. I take it this machine has a use of within that you just use it to rebalance self, not necessarily because something is particularly wrong at that particular time, but put it as part of a lifestyle thing of making sure we are balanced in our body, mind, and health. Is that fair to say?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, which also leads on to the next step, which is that the scanner can identify, even if you don't have a pain, it can identify those organs which are probably going to be the most susceptible to going wrong, or to not being as healthy as they could be. And one of the things in particular it can pick up is allergies.
Okay.
And I think that's a really important issue nowadays, because that links back to diet. And when we look at how food is processed nowadays and the things that people ingest, a lot of what you are is what you eat and drink. And so that will lead people to probably have regular checks to make sure that they're in their optimum health. This also links on to other things which are, I suppose, being looked at. There's a subject called nootropics, which is looking at things that can make you operate at your best level. It's often something used by Silicon Valley giants. They take these things which make them operate at their optimum. So they might stimulate the left or right side of their brain to make sure that their imagination is
Yeah.
operating at its best, and that their logical function is at its best.
Yeah.
There are people operating using things called bulletproof coffee, which you may have heard of,
Yeah.
which people may have heard of.
Mm.
So there are dietary things which are coming out into the mix as well,
Mm-hmm.
and a futuristic way of looking at how people can optimize their behavior on all fronts.
Yeah. Wow. But I think generally as people, there tends to be um, friction, a lot of friction to change, especially for things that are not conventional, things that we are not used to. So, how are you finding that from the people that you get to speak to? And I guess is there like conversion rates, like the people that you get to, how many will sort of take that leap to try something different? How are you finding the friction and the resistance of people?
That's a very important point.
Mm.
If anybody had told me about this stuff even 3 years ago, I would have said, "You're nuts."
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, I would have said, "I don't know what you're
What
talking
are you
about."
talking about? Yeah.
But since looking and studying closely the connection between mind and body,
Mm.
and having had the personal experience
Yeah.
of the issues involved,
Mm.
it's something that people will either take
Mm.
on board and listen to,
Yeah.
or they'll poo-poo.
Mm.
The people who will listen
Mm.
are those who, like myself, may have had a challenging condition and tried everything, been to every conventional doctor, popped every pill, and tried everything conventional, and just thought, you know what, none of that works, so let's give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they might find that it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there will always be those who just think, you know, it's snake oil, not bothering with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if you just give it a try,
Yeah.
and if you just look at the issues involved, there is logic behind it.
Yeah.
Which is why I would not call it alternative health, because I think that's not doing it justice, but complementary health.
Yeah.
And when you link things like that with hypnosis, with Reiki, again, other things which are not easily explained when you think about how they work, but can work in many instances, then these are things that should be used alongside complementary medicine.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the World Health Organization have identified and stated that pharmaceutical companies across the world spend twice as much on marketing as on research and development.
Wow.
And when you look at things from that perspective, then also all the side effects of drugs and the food chain, you think, well, hang on, what's going on here? We have a food chain where all kinds of additives are being put in, which actually make people sick, which they're probably not aware of. And then these are actually made worse by a pharmaceutical industry who in some instances create drugs which have side effects, which then don't actually fix the problem, but create other problems. So it's a self-perpetuating machine, which might make a lot of money for somebody, but is not actually helping individuals. And I think that's something that people need to look at before they dismiss what I'm talking about out of hand.
Yeah, well, I think I pick up on 2 points on that as well. In one of my videos, I talk about a number of principles, including one whereby for us as people, if we can have a mind that is open to other possibilities, other ways of doing things, it really does help. So have a mind that is open to everything but not specifically attached to anything, which means you are able to look at something, a new concept or anything that is happening with a clear open mind to say that it could be something that could work. And I guess, from your point of view, as this message goes out to people and people start to understand and learn and be curious about these things, it only, when you spark that light bulb in people, it only takes that one person or two people that will get the message, and they try things out, and they get to be to be healed. So in a way that in terms of sort of giving back to society, when you tell your message and you show people, I see that as something that, will help people. Someone out there will listen to this story, and, they will pick up on something that, in the end would help them. So your cause in terms of, putting the message out there, of course, I mean, if you look at the industry of, lifestyle and health, these are the multi-billion dollar industries, where people are actually making money from these kind of ventures. But it's all about the value and the benefit that people get out of that, because people will pay for value or something that they'll benefit in when they can see that value. So these kind of stories and getting people to have an open mind and try things, and you know helping someone, because life is a precious thing. Like they say, we only have one life. If we can take care of it, and in the search for information and knowledge, if one person can pick up, and that will be a really worthwhile cause, of what you are doing in terms of putting the message out there about complementary medicine and how people can benefit from this. So it's really a powerful message, for people out there listening, and they have some sort of resistance. So I guess from because you look at this in two parts. You've got the part where you're actually putting the message out and helping people, but also the side where in doing so you can also benefit financially as a business and all of that. So how do you marry the two in a way from your point of view?
I think it comes back to what you say about giving value, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Now, even if just one person
Yeah.
benefits from what I'm talking about today, if one person can kick the drugs that they're on and live without the side effects, and can combine that with a healthy lifestyle,
Yeah.
and they benefit from it, then that's great.
Yeah.
With regard to turning that into a business, I think that is the next big area. I think that people are going to be looking for something else.
Yeah.
The other thing is the personal touch.
Yeah.
I think that's why things like Reiki, which involves some closeness, almost human contact. I think that talking therapies, all these things that may have been poo-pooed in the past, they're going to increase.
Yeah.
Because all the remote stuff, the pop a pill for everything society is just not working anymore. And I think that as, for instance, social media becomes more prevalent, more widely used, if it can get more widely used, people might have thousands of friends online, and phones are addictive. I mean, that's another issue.
Yeah.
Probably haven't got time to go into all my thoughts on that today.
Yeah.
But, there's the electro-smog from phones and things as well,
Wow.
which have an effect on your mind.
Yeah.
And you mustn't sleep near your phones. You have to detox your mind
Yeah.
and give yourself a break from these things.
Yeah. Wow.
Aside from the electrical currents, there's all the influence of what is said and how that impacts upon people.
Yeah.
Every time your phone pings, it's a news flash.
Yeah.
And that news is not good, it's always negative.
Negative. Wow.
And so people need to, again, take control of what they put into their minds
Into their
as
mind.
well.
Yeah. Wow. That's very key. That's very key. Now, it's been a really, educational, podcast in terms of understanding this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of listeners who will probably follow up on this and look to learn more. And also, you and I, we are doing this Expert Speaker Academy together. So we'll be, as this podcast goes along, we'll be following your story. So I'm sure it will be an honor to have you back on the podcast and follow how things are going, and see the impact that this is making as you gather more and more stories of people who are being helped and how it's all working. So it is quite fascinating for me. So yeah, thank you very much, Tony, for sharing that story on the podcast. And this is just part of it, but I'm sure we will be following up on that. And any uh, request for more information or people get to contact, I'm sure we'll get to pass on the more information, and we'll probably request a lot more information from you for people to actually get it to understand exactly what is involved. So we'll finish it off on this one, but look forward to getting you back on the podcast. So it's been Tony Brown. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank
And
you, Alex.
we'll speak again, I'm sure. So we'll look forward to following your story and picking it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.